Today I fucked up by barking back at a dog. Happened yesterday but forgot to post. Too long didn't read. At the bottom. This will be a short one. I was left to babysit my sister while the rest of my family went out. She was watching TV, so I decided to call a friend on Discord and talk with them. Seems fine, right? Well, here I was, walking around the house talking, when I see a dude out the window walking his dog. His dog barked, and I barked back. I didn't think I could be heard, but both the dog and the owner looked at my direction. I made direct eye contact with the owner, but my brain being a second behind, decided to bark again. So you might be asking, where is the fuck up? Well, I continue to walk around, and from the back window, I see the man walk into the house right behind us. A house that was just sold. That man was our new neighbor, and I just introduced myself with a bark. Too long didn't read. Barked at a dog being walked. Turns out the man walking him is our new neighbor. I introduced myself with a bark. You're committed now. You must convince your neighbor that you only speak in barks and you never tried a potato before. My dog loves to bark as we go past the neighbor's house, who also has dogs. When I take her for a car ride, I got into the habit of backing her up and barking with her as we drive by. One day, windows down, we roll by and I'm the one who initiates the barking, joined shortly by my dog. Neighbors were outside, the whole family, and they had guests. Mayor and her family. They all stared as I drove by. Fuck. This is hilarious, but I mean, who doesn't bark back at dogs? Time to move. God, I love the human brain. It's a shit show sometimes. Agree. I can only wonder what that man thinks right now. You should probably pee in his backyard, to assert dominance with both him and the dog. Just in case. Maintain eye contact while you shit in his yard, then pick up said shit with a plastic bag. You're not complete garbage. Today I fucked up by sending my female boss porn. Easily the most embarrassing moment of my life. I, 34M, worked for an amazing company in the US. My boss, 50F, was great. We had a great relationship and a lot of trust. She was the general manager of our business and I was the head of our operations. We had a big deal we were working on with a company out in Portland. Both of us were flying out the next day for a sales pitch we needed to close the deal. The night before, I was at my daughter's softball practice text messaging her about the presentation. Who is going to present what, how we were going to handle certain parts of the negotiation, etc. At the same time I was also messaging my wife. Since I was going to be out of town, my wife and I planned to put the kids to bed and spend a little adult time together. In anticipation for that, we were having a little fun via text message. She would send me a 30 picture she found and I would find one and send it back. In the process, our pictures became more and more explicit. You know what happens next. The wrong message got sent to the wrong person. And I sent my boss porn. It was horrible. As soon as I hit send I knew what I had done. I panicked. I called my wife freaking out. In the meantime, my boss never responded. She said nothing for about 10 minutes. The longest 10 minutes of my life. I knew I had to do something, so I messaged her and apologized. She finally responded, but her response was very vague, so I couldn't interpret how serious this was. I didn't sleep at all that night knowing I'd have to see her in the morning. When I got to the airport the next day, she was already at the terminal. I sat next to her and the first thing I could think to do was try to break the ice with a joke. So I said it's all my wife's fault. She started it. Then I apologized profusely. It was so uncomfortable. It became clear from her response that I wasn't going to be fired instantly, and that she was actually amused by how uncomfortable it made me. She said obviously it can't happen again, but at least it gave her and her husband something to talk about that night besides work. They gave me a chance to take a deep breath and realize my life wasn't over. Also, we ended up rocking that presentation together. She's not my boss anymore, but we still work together on occasion. If ever we are at a work party having a drink, one of us will make a very discreet reference to all the embarrassing things we've been through and we both have a good laugh. Too long didn't read. I accidentally sent my boss some very graphic porn pictures thinking she was my wife, and thought my life was over. But it turns out it wasn't. It's now I have a great story to tell. That's a great title. Title says it all. Use different accounts for work and play. Just be glad it wasn't a picture of your dick. That would have been horrible. You should have sent it to like 20 more people in the company and then you could claim it was a virus. Solid strategy. To be terminated next time. Lesson learned, never hit send before you read the contact you're sending to. Definitely a mistake you only need to make once to never make again. Today I fucked up by sitting on Santa's lap at 19. Yesterday our family decided to get together and see Santa at the mall since it had been such a crappy year. We wanted to end it on a good note. We all wore heavy-duty masks and said that if the mall was too crowded, we would leave. So we drive to the mall. Parking lot looks normal. We go in through a home decor store and to the main part of the mall where Santa's workshop, vacant store, is. On the way, my little brother has to use the bathroom, so he heads off towards the home store. My mom and I wait in line to see Santa. After about 10 or so minutes, my brother is nowhere to be seen. Also happens, we were towards the front of the line now. My mom heads off to find my brother, leaving me in line. When the family in front of us left, I was in the front. I should have let the family behind us go while I was waiting for my brother and mom, but dumb me just stood there, waiting awkwardly to be called over. Santa started making small talk, like did they just leave you and something about babysitting the elves. He motioned for me to come over, so I did. There were boxes in front of him, what I was supposed to sit on, to maintain a safe distance. I said something about not knowing where my family was and Santa laughed loudly and slapped his hands on his knees as an expression. I, on the other hand, thought this was a motion for me to sit on his lap. I was in the moment and embarrassed that I was holding up the people behind us up. So, I walked through the boxes and landed myself on the poor man. Silence filled the room. Immediately realizing what I'd done, I stood up and sat on the box the cameraman was pointing to. Once my picture was taken, I practically ran out of there, adrenaline overloading. I looked frantically for my mom and brother, who weren't happy I got out of line. They insisted we see Santa, so we had to wait in line again for more emotional torture. Too long didn't read, I misunderstood Santa and sat on his lap in the mall. I thought you were going to say he popped wood. My little sister is 8 years younger than my older sister, so she got stuck going to Santa way longer than she wanted. One year the Santa was obviously a late teens to early 20s dude, and my sister, probably 17 or 18 years old, had to sit on his lap for the picture. Santa was totally hitting on her but didn't get anywhere. It's okay, I definitely would have made the same mistake being in that same flustered position. Sitting in Santa's lap is a tradition. What else were you supposed to think? COVID has only been around for less than a year. What's that thing poking me, Santa? He's Santa and you're 19, he loved it. Meow, smiley face.